The Nature of Warfare and Power Shifting. Author Imtiaz Rafi Butt. Chairman Rafi Group. Chairman Jinnah Rafi Foundation. Since the beginning of time, nations and men pursue their interests. As men drive nations, national policies exhibit lasting imprints of the nature and personality of their leaders. Putting self-interest first is human nature. Self-interest exaggerated to selfishness leads to usurping of basic rights of others. The human desire to gain superiority over others led to inventions. It's not surprising that the invention of needle to airplanes to all technological advances are a direct consequence of desire to gain military superiority. It was only later that their other positive benefits for mankind were discovered. Nuclear technology was also primarily developed to gain military superiority, which was later utilized for power generation. Mankind has used every weapon that was developed in war, so much so that the United States of America vehemently used nuclear bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki to suppress their enemy in World War II, ruthlessly killing over 200,000 innocent people, causing Japan to surrender. It is not beyond imagination and beyond certainty that nuclear weapons are likely to be used again in future. However, it is before time to affirm when and where. Narcissistic nationalists like Hitler, Stalin, and other selfish, reckless rulers have already subjected the world to horrific world wars. It is horrific to imagine if Hitler had access to nuclear weapons, he would have unquestionably used them against his enemies rather than committing suicide, and history would be entirely different today. The eventualities and circumstances that led to the rise to power of America, President Joe Biden, Vladimir Putin of Russia, Indian Premier Narendra Modi, Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and the Chinese President Xi Jinping is clearly evident in their leadership style, governance, and the power that their countries possesses. The United States was once the only nuclear power which it used to dictate the world. Her military superiority was the source of its economic might. America was the leading weapons exporter of the world. On one hand, it was selling its military equipment all across the world, and on the other hand, promoting the farce of world peace and signing non-proliferation treaties like CTBT, yet not compromising its own nuclear program. Banking on the military might and superiority of America, its leaders wreaked havoc in Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Libya, Afghanistan, Hong Kong, South America, and parts of Africa without paying heed to moral, legal, ethical, or economic outcomes. Recently, American President Donald Trump carved a huge divide between the rich and poor, weakening the American society from within. Vladimir Putin, a martial artist, was the head of the Russian Secret Service KGB, has been holding office of the
Premier and President of
Russia for the past 2 decades. His style of ruling and governance clearly depicts his past. Russia post-disintegration has been regained power and is now locking horns with Europe and United States. In the Ukraine conflict, the West is scared that Russia might use nuclear weapons. Putin himself has threatened its use in case of external interference. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is single with no offspring, is a conception of Hindu extremist organization RSS. The butcher of Gujarat is expressing his extremist agenda in Kashmir. A tea hawker, when entrusted with leading such a vast nation, truly reflected the skeletons of his past and his policies. The neighboring country Pakistan faces dire threats from his radical approach. Alarming is the fact that Pakistan is itself a nuclear power whose assets are under military control, and any military intervention by India threatens an all-out nuclear war. It is unimaginable that any army will accept defeat in the battlefield. The 37 years old Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is an extremely progressive personality. The murder of journalist Jamal Ahmed was an awfully horrifying act, yet United States and other Western nations have refrained from condemning the Saudi prince. The same United States has backed Israel in keeping the Arabs in check. Likewise, Saudi Arabia Korea, in spite of having over 5 decades of mutually beneficial relationship with the United States, is pursuing its interests with the rising superpower China, thereby making its intentions clear. Similarly, the aggressive dictatorial rule of Kim Jong-un is not obscure to the world. His tyrannical rule and word is absolute in North Korea. He creates an example of people who dare act against his will. He is totally unorthodox, and therefore it cannot be predicted what he can or will do owing to his impulsive nature. The American President Joe Biden has been a senator and held important portfolios during various tenures, but has proven to be a weak president, and it appears as if the Pentagon has overtaken the presidency. There is always a difference between a political leader and an officer of the military. Superpowers never accepts rising power unless it is defeated. The Chinese Premier Xi Jinping has risen to power after a long political struggle. His personality and style has imprints of Mao Zedong. His father was a leader of the Communist Party who was entrusted with various important positions and was murdered due to his political ideology. His younger sister also fell victim to his political rivals. Xi Jinping lost 7 times when contesting for Youth League and 10 times while contesting for the Central Party, but his strong resolve against corruption is the reason for his popularity among people. China's current political, economic, and military might, as well as its roadmap for the future, is all attributable to Xi Jinping. He has kept management and governance strictly under his control. President Xi Jinping is the impetus of the progressive approach of China, which is stamping its authority and influence around the world. The progress of China is being checked by the West. The world, however, is in the process of an economic and political power shift. The process of power shifting has never been peaceful. This can push the world towards another world war. In this process, the personalities, character, and mentality of leaders of nuclear-powered nations can land the world in a nuclear conflict. It is the blessing of Allah that this world has been saved from any such calamity. Only the will of Allah can prevent this catastrophe that seems imminent, bearing in mind the current leaders at world stage. Author Imtiaz Rafi Butt. Chairman Rafi Group. Chairman Jinnah Rafi Foundation.